Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a basic male figure from the hips up. So as with most drawings, I'm going to start off with the guidelines, starting with the head, just drawing a circle and like a chin. And guidelines aren't just important for figures, they're important for any aspect of art. They can be used for anything. Just if you need to get something's proportions right, using guidelines is always a safe bet. And try to make both sides of the drawing about the same so that it looks proportionate. And I'm going to draw in these little circles for the joints. Alright. Moving on to the hips. For most male figures, the hips are less than shoulder length apart. So if you look at where the shoulders are, you can draw the hips just slightly shorter than that. Now this isn't a universal rule. Of course, everyone's different, but for majority, the shoulder width is longer than the hips for male figures. For females, it's about the same, but it varies. All right, moving on to the arms. The elbow joint is right in between where the ribcage ends and where the hips begin. And then I'm drawing the forearm. Do the same thing on the other side. Draw a circle for where the joint is. And now we have just our basic proportions of where everything's going to be. Moving on from that, I'm going to start drawing in just some basic shapes for where everything else is. For the neck, for these little muscles on the sides, for the shoulders. Now, not everything is going to be this geometric in the final piece, but this is just to get the basic idea of where everything's going to be. For the limbs, I'm just going to kind of draw some cylinders or some rectangles. Same thing for the forearm. But here I'm going to add like a little bump where all the forearm muscles are going to be at the top. And obviously do the same thing on the other side. I can be kind of rough because this isn't going to be what the final piece looks like. This is just for where everything's going to be. Now moving on to the torso, I'm just going to draw in the lats over here. Just a little bit, I'm going to put a little gap between where the rib cage is and where the actual skin's going to be showing. Just so like, imagine there's muscle and skin over here. That's about the gap. Same thing on the other side. And now we have our basic figures. I'm going to start erasing the guidelines on the inside so that I can make room for where all the muscles and stuff are going to be and all the details. Now I'm going to start drawing in the proper looking muscles. So starting off with the shoulder, it doesn't really matter where you start, but I'm just going to start from here. I'm going to draw in the triceps, putting just a little bump a little bit above halfway through the upper arm. And on the other side, I'm going to do about the same thing, but right at the bottom for the bicep. And then based on where that ends, I'm going to draw in the inner part of the shoulder. For the inside of the arm, or like over here, most people draw a line over here, but that's not how it's supposed to look like. Unless you're super shredded and you're flexing all the time, that's not what your arm is going to look like. At most, the brachialis is going to be showing, so I'm going to draw that in. Alright, for the forearm, draw a little bit of a bump over here, and at the bottom of the arm just to show the bone underneath. On the inside, I'm gonna follow the lines I made before, make that bump, and then showing some of the forearm muscles, like this. Now, if I look at it, the upper arm kind of looks skinnier than the bottom and doesn't look very proportionate, so I'm going to erase that. Make it a little bit bigger. And that makes it look a little bit better as well. You have to, as you're drawing, you have to kind of compare each part of the drawing and see if you have the proportions right. It's not really a thing you can know from the beginning unless you have a lot of practice with it. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And now that I have the other arm drawn, I'm going to start drawing in the muscles on the inside. So for the chest, I'm going to draw a diagonal line, kind of following this line, but up here. And keep in mind that the chest connects to the shoulder muscles, so it should connect a little bit over here. And you just draw it like this. Same thing on the other side. And you don't have to draw it all the way through. Having suggestive lines sometimes looks better than drawing in the entire line all the way through. So just keep that in mind whenever you're drawing anything, not just bodies. Suggestive lines look better than proper lines. For the inside of the chest, you have a tiny bit of separation right in the middle over here. You don't have to draw it in for everyone, but this guy's kind of shredded, so I'm going to draw it in for him. Now, this left side of the chest kind of looks shorter than the right side, so I'm going to try to fix that. I'm just going through and seeing all the mistakes I'm making while I'm making the drawing and fixing them as I go. And you should do the same thing. If something doesn't look like right, reevaluate. Make sure you have it done correctly. You don't have to draw on the nipple. I mean, no, you do have to draw on the nipple. They're basic human body part. Alright, I'm going to draw in the collarbone, the neck, just making all these just a little bit darker so they're easier to see. And just these muscles for the neck. Alright, moving on to the abs. Keep in mind when you're drawing the abs that the top ab is shorter than the rest of them. So it looks a little bit skinnier. The middle one is kind of like a square, like rounded off on the edges. So a circle, I guess. And then this bottom one is sort of long, but it's not as defined as the rest of them. So you don't have to add in the line in the middle. Alright. For the edge over here of the torso, you have to draw in sort of a separation or line, and then the legs starting from here. I'm not going to draw in the legs in this video, but just so you understand where they're supposed to stay, I'm going to draw in a little bit. Alright. And we're almost done. All I have to draw now is the oblique muscles. So, they're kind of difficult. They usually have like two muscles connected to each other. The second one should connect to the top of each ab. So here it's connecting to, if you imagine these two lines connecting right in the middle over here. Same thing at the bottom one. And then just a little bit of a line down here. Of course, same thing on the other side. Have to draw in that. And that is how to draw a male figure. I'm gonna make the head a little bit more defined. And that's it. I hope this video helped you, and thank you for watching.